Tui Nguyen, Thui, Nguyen. Miss, thank you. To be followed by Miss Shelley Kennedy.
Good afternoon. I am Thui Nguyen. I was a volunteer to help Harvey hurricane victim. I want to report. Great Houston Committee Foundation Fund run by Vietnamese community. Harvey GHGF Fund did not deliver money to the phone victim. The victims were told that assistance was given to victims if their house affected by hurricane and flood. Any house that has been affected hurricane, not flood, not give money. I have suggested the relief community Hurricane Harvey has better to make addition assistance to Houston victims, but nothing was done. They used the relief money to spend for many items in the wrong school. I have a group. Could you please intervene? Thank you.
Thank you. Let me make sure I understand excuse me. Let me make sure I understand, Ms. Nguyen. So the Greater Houston Community Foundation, they gave the money to which organization, which nonprofit?
Great Houston Community Foundation Fund,
Right.
run by Vietnamese community.
Which
I want to report by fund from
Right.
Vietnamese community.
Okay, run. If you get with them, I'm trying to find out which organization, nonprofit, did the Greater Houston Community Foundation give the money to? Okay, if you'll get with Rhonda Sauter,
Yes.
and let's see how we can work
Yes.
with you. Okay, thank you.
The next speaker, Shelley Kennedy.
Shelley.
Ms. Nguyen will be followed by Dr. Kevin Vu.
Good morning, Mayor. Good afternoon, Mayor Turner, and good afternoon, all the council members. My name is Han Nguyen, and I'm an employee of City of Houston, but I'm off duty now. Okay. So I'm here today not for about the employment or any issues about City of Houston, but I'm here. I would like to bring to your attention about the awareness of unreasonable compensations of $150,000 funds from the Greater Houston Community Foundation granted to the Vietnamese community of Houston and vicinity. So after the Harvey hurricane incident, the Vietnamese elected group in Vietnamese community in Houston and vicinity received more than $1.6 million of donation from the Vietnamese all over the nations, and including the $150,000 that I mentioned earlier. So it has been 2 years since the Harvey hurricane took place. More than $1.6 million funds from donations and grants are still covered up. The Vietnamese community do not know how, I'm talking the people in the Vietnamese community, we do not know what fund was managed and distributed to the Harvey victims. So numbers of Vietnamese people have raised their voices to ask for disclosing the details of the financial statements, expenses, and the distributions of more than $1.6 million to the Harvey victims. However, the elected group of Vietnamese in Houston and vicinity still refused to disclose the information. Recently, we found out that with the grant of $150,000 from the Greater Houston Community Fund, they distributed to 12 elderly people, only 12 elderly people, and one Vietnamese temple located in Rufus, Texas. So, and then that means they distribute the $130,000, they have $20,000 left. They still keep remain in their banking reserve. So, it's interesting. We find out that 2 out of 12 elderly people who receive $10,000 each, 2 of them are the insiders and the staff member of that elected community. So based on the information shown in the Greater Houston Community Fund website, that $150,000 the Greater Houston Community Fund has granted to the Vietnamese community in Houston and vicinity for financial assistance and home repair.
Your time has expired.
Okay, let me make sure that I understand. From the local relief fund, the Greater Houston Community Foundation gave $150,000 to the Vietnamese community of Houston.
The Vietnamese community of Houston and vicinity. That means including Cypress, including Sugar Land, including Fort Bend, and Richmond.
Right, because the relief fund was Houston and Harris County.
That's true.
Okay, so it gave the money to the Vietnamese community of Houston and vicinity, and you're questioning what they did with the money.
They already did, but that's what I have a few questions here for you, Mayor. Then my first question is, when was that funds granted, and what is the requirements of compliance for that $150,000? Because they received $150,000, they distributed to only 12
Now, I understand that. That was, the money was given to the Vietnamese community of Houston and vicinity, which is a nonprofit, to assist with the Harvey team. And so we'll have to look to see what the organization did with it. And certainly the Greater Houston Community Foundation can assist in that regard. But the money was given to that nonprofit to use to assist Harvey victims.
Right. But do you have any requirement for compliance to that money?
No, it wasn't a city or in Harris County. We didn't distribute the money. The money was collected by the Greater Houston Community Foundation.
I understand.
And the Greater Houston Community Foundation then gave the money, distributed money to various nonprofits.
Right.
One of those nonprofits is the Vietnamese community of Houston and vicinity.
Right.
They were the ones who was responsible for distributing the money to the Harvey victims.
Right.
Right.
And this morning, they just, the trustee of this elected group, they was on a radio station, 900 AM radio station. They make announcement publicly to the Vietnamese community. They said that they sent a list, that means a list of these 12 elderly people in Houston and 1 temple in Rockford, Texas, to City Houston, and City Houston approved before they distributed.
No.
So that's why I would like to confirm with you, is that true or is that false information?
That is not true.
Thank you, Mayor.
That is not true.
Thank you, Mayor.
The money came from the Greater Houston Community Foundation and distributed dollars to a number of nonprofits.
I understand.
Okay. The Vietnamese community of Houston and vicinity was one of the many nonprofits that had the responsibility of giving the money, distributing the money to those Harvey individuals who were impacted by the storm. Okay? They had the direct responsibility. It wasn't the city of Houston. It wasn't Harris County. It was this nonprofit, the Vietnamese community of Houston and vicinity.
Dear Mayor, I have a question. As I look at the websites of the Greater Houston Community Fund Foundation, on the website they said that they granted to the Vietnamese community $150,000 for $5,000 for financial assistance and or home repair for 400 individuals or household. That is the information posted publicly. But within the community, they use that $150,000 just distributed to 12 elderly people in City Houston and plus 1 temple outside of City Houston. So that's why we would like to find out the compliance what is the requirement, so they make sure that they comply with the requirement.
Well-
I know that this fund is, this foundation is combined between City of Houston and Harris County. But since, I start with you first and see, you can direct us or advise us
Well,
where we can get that
Well,
information.
certainly, number one, you need to look to the Vietnamese community of Houston and vicinity, that organization. And we can certainly ask the Greater Houston Community Foundation to also look and see what they have done. Okay?
Right.
But the direct responsibility falls with the Vietnamese community of Houston and vicinity, that particular organization.
And we did ask them, but they refused to disclose those information.
Well, they should disclose. They should disclose.
That's what I believe, but they keep doing that. That's why I'm here, Mayor.
Right, yeah, but no, they should disclose. They have a direct.
So that's why
I'm
sorry.
motion to extend. Objection, judge not granted. I'm sorry.
Oh, I'm sorry. That's why I'm here. I would like to ask you, Mayor, and the council members here, can help us to initiate the investigation, because we powerless. We cannot do anything. I keep asking for disclosing the information, but they refuse to disclose.
Yeah, they should disclose, and we can ask the Greater Houston Community Foundation to also to assist you all in that regard. Okay? Hold on one second, Councilmember Stardy.
Mayor, I just have a question. Did the Greater Houston Community Foundation collect funds on behalf of the city of Houston
And Harris County.
and Harris County? So
Yes.
we are the entity that they collected on behalf of?
They
Or did
collect,
they collect as a separate charity,
yes,
independent of of any municipality,
That is-
just as a charity?
that is correct. They are a nonprofit themselves.
I got the book right here.
Yeah.
But my question is, did they collect on our behalf at our direction and with some kind of authority? You've signed some kind of document on
No.
behalf of the city. They're totally independent on this action as a volunteer-based,
Yes.
do the right thing.
They collect not only for us, but for a number of nonprofit causes.
But again, they didn't do it at our direction.
No, that was
They're
a-
independent of us.
There was a separate board of people representing the city and the people representing the county.
So we are engaged in it. So it would be appropriate for us to ask them to disclose that information, because if you're saying publicly on their website that they distributed it to 400,
Not on our website, they said that for 400 household individuals or households.
so the Greater Houston Community Foundation believes that they distributed to
That's
400
what they put on website.
households. They
Yes.
went on Vietnamese radio saying they've distributed it to 12, and they're using the city as their cover to accept on behalf of 12 people.
And that's why I indicated that.
If this is what
Right,
you're
and that's
saying
why I'm
is,
indicating
Yes.
that the Greater Houston Community Foundation can assist them.
yeah. And so, but
Right.
that's, you definitely need to go, I would start at the Greater Houston Community Foundation because again, but I think we should be able to have influence in,
Oh, I'm sure that they will be more than happy to assist them.
I'm sure too. They're a very credible
Right.
organization.
So
Right.
the City of Houston can provide us the office or?
The Greater Houston, Rhonda, if you will assist them in giving them the contact information for the Greater Houston Community Foundation. Okay? So the Greater Houston Community Foundation should be in a position to help to assist you in getting information from the Vietnamese community of
May I
Houston.
follow up, Mayor?
Sure.
Would someone in your office be able to also ask on our behalf that it's their understanding that they distributed to 400 or 12? That would be the question I would have. Did they distribute the money to
And I think that's-
400 or 12?
And that would be the function of the Greater Houston Community Foundation. The Greater Houston Community Foundation
I
should
know,
do
but
that.
for us as a council body, since we have representatives on that sub-board that's collecting the money.
Right. And I would ask the Greater Houston Community Foundation to obtain that information. Okay. Councilmember Knox.
Thank you, Mayor. I just want to, I'm a little confused also. So we have persons after Harvey that wanted to contribute to the city, and we didn't have a mechanism for that. And there was also people who wanted to give money to the county who also didn't have a mechanism for that. So we came together, and this new organization, the GHCF, the Greater Houston County Foundation or whatever,
Community.
whatever. They were formed then to collect this money and hold it for Harvey relief. And then they made a determination on the board to distribute the money to a number of nonprofits in the area. Am I right so far?
It was in, yeah, the Greater Houston Community Foundation has been around for quite some time. It's not a new organization.
Okay, not a new organization, but that's its purpose is to, okay.
Yeah.
So now each one of these nonprofits who receive money from the Greater Houston Community Foundation have their own criteria about how they release the money that they're being given.
That's true.
And so the Greater Houston Community Foundation really doesn't have any role in establishing what they use it for. Is that correct?
Although there was a criteria set up by, you had like 5 members from the county, chosen
Right.
by the county, by Ed, 5 members chosen by me, okay? They kind of set the criteria.
So we're going to give you this money if you promise to deal with
That is correct.
Harvey relief victims.
That is correct.
Okay. So is there any oversight on the part of the Greater Houston Community Foundation for these multiple nonprofits that they gave money to?
I would say to some degree. And that's why they've got their website up as well.
And so what we're suggesting for this young lady here is that we're going to ask them to exercise that oversight.
That is correct.
And check into what happened to the money to this particular nonprofit.
That is correct.
I think that's what you're after.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mayor. Thank you, Councilman.
Thank you. But make sure that you give it a run and get the information and the website and all the contact information for the Greater Houston Community Foundation. 1 second, hold on. Councilman Kubash.
2 weeks after Hurricane Harvey, I had learned that there was going to be this distribution of funds that came to the city and the county to the Greater Houston Community Foundation. I went to the Greater Houston Community Foundation, and I believe they were on the 6th floor on Woodway. And they met with me, the president, the vice president, and the chief financial officer. And they told me they were going to have to raise $1.3 million to give this money away. Now, you can imagine how that upset me because I've already been out to homes throughout the community and apartments. And I realized that people needed diapers, they needed food, they needed clothing, they needed rent payments, they needed phones, they needed a lot of things. I mean, the place, that's why we call it a disaster. They assured me that they were going to give out the first tranche of money pretty quickly. Well, I think the first tranche of money was given out in December. Harvey occurred, as you understand, the end of August, early September. Motion to extend.
Motion to extend. Any objections, yours? Now motion granted.
My concern was from the get-go was who's getting the money. 9.5 months later, all the money had been distributed. I dare say that to me, that was really late. Upon further investigation, I found out there was 113 nonprofits who had received the money. So I got the list of them with their phone numbers and emails address, and I took the first 23 and gave my staff the other numbers to call. Of the first 23, only 4 ever answered me. So I was very disturbed. I was very upset. And I said that in open council here of how upset I was about that. Here it is almost 2 years later, you're coming to talk about it. But it's very disappointing during a hurricane and a trouble that we delay. That's one of the things I can't stand about government is delay. But nonetheless, I got a call from Commissioner Cagle, and he told me that the Ike money from Hurricane Ike had finally been distributed by the Houston Galveston Area Council, and it had been many years later. My mom and dad are already dead. So these kind of things really concern me. I don't think you're going to ever find out anything from the nonprofits. I don't think that they are subject to any open records request. I don't believe you're going to find it out unless they just want to tell you. But, you know, if we have another storm, another tragedy, we got to do better.
That's true.
And because people needed help immediately, and I wanted to cut $125,000, $1,000 checks and start giving them out. Well, people say, well, that there's greedy people out there. Yes, there are. But where there's needy people, there you're going to find greedy people. Some of the biggest thefts in American history occurred during the savings and loans a debacle, and I don't think anybody ever got arrested. Yeah, well, maybe they did. But nonetheless, you know, it's disturbing to me to see it. And we've got to do better. We have to help people at a time of tragedy. Thank you for the correction.
Thank you. I'm sorry, Mayor Pro Tem Cohen.
Thank you. I understand exactly what my colleagues are saying, but I personally know the Greater Houston Community Foundation. I know the people that have been involved. I know people on their board. I know people that have worked there. I have the greatest respect for them. You can't just take in money and capriciously throw it out there without having regulations in place. Otherwise, everybody's out there.
True.
You have to be able to know where the money's going.
That's true.
And then you have to be able to have an opportunity to follow the money
That's
to make sure that they're doing what they say they're going to do. I urge you to get in touch with the foundation, but I also support them tremendously. And I think they've done wonderful things for the city of Houston.
And I know they work with you to make sure that the Vietnamese community of Houston and vicinity organization accounts for the dollars that they've received. Okay. So please get with Rhonda.
Thank you so much, Mayor.
Thank you.
Thank you, Council
you.
Member.
Thank
It's
you.
very helpful for us. Thank you.
Thank you.
The next speaker, Dr. Kevin Vu, to be followed by Joe Zamora.
Good afternoon,
Good
Mayor
afternoon.
Turner and fellow council member. My name is Dr. Kevin Vu. I have been living and practicing dentistry in Houston for over 22 years. Today I come here with a heavy heart. I'm requesting City of Houston to open investigation of the abuse of the Hurricane Harvey Relief Fund by Chairman Trần Quốc Anh and his staff of the nonprofit organization called Vietnamese Community Houston and Vicinity. According to the Greater Houston Community Foundation website, they gave our Vietnamese Community Houston $150,000 to provide financial assistance home repair to 400 households in Harris County. But Chairman Trần Quốc Anh abused his power and wrongly distributed the fund to 12 people and one temple located in Rockford, Texas, which near Corpus Christi. Each person received $10,000 and two of them are his staff. One is a board director member of Vietnamese Community of Houston and Vicinity. Another one is his advisor. This is so corrupt to me and violation of the GSCF rule. Also, besides $150,000 from the GSCF, the Vietnamese Community Houston and Vicinity received over $1.4 million from other Vietnamese community from all over the United States, and they also abuse their fund and commit many violations. I heard a lot of stories of true victims, Vietnamese American, of Hurricane Harvey, whom did not receive a penny from the fund. So please, open investigation in this matter, and our abuser should face the law accordingly. That's our request. Thank you for your listening.
Thank you, and we certainly will encourage the Greater Houston Community Foundation to look into the Vietnamese community of Houston and vicinity, okay?
Yeah.
So we will look into this organization. We'll ask them to do that. Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you.
The next speaker is Joe Zamora, to be followed by